All set.
Good morning. We will open a special meeting at 9:04 on April 5th. We will be moving into executive session, and we'll be returning after the executive session is over.
Mics are live.
Good morning again. We are returning from executive session at 20 minutes of 10 on April 5th. We have a motion from Madam Clerk.
Yes, I make a motion that we agree to amend the employment agreement by and between the Town of East Bridgewater and George G. Samia.
Second.
Any conversation?
I have nothing further on this matter. It's been discussed in executive session. The agreement's before you this morning for voting purposes, and it's self-explanatory.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will go ahead and close the meeting.
Nope.
Dave,
Read the
you wanna
statement.
Read the statement?
Statement.
Okay. Sorry. This is a joint statement from the town, Mr. Samia. Mr. Samia and the town have mutually agreed to end Mr. Samia's employment with the town. The town would like to thank Mr. Samia for his years of dedicated service to the town. Mr. Samia would like to thank the boards, committees, department heads, staff, and most importantly, the citizens of East Bridgewater for supporting him over his tenure with the town of East Bridgewater. We'll be making no further comment. We'll be forthcoming. We are waiting for implementation of the contract.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
With that, I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
But we're going to have the clerk read a joint statement.
Tell me you wanted me to read. I always pick on the librarian to do the reading.
The no person in town.
On the board.
Yeah, right, thank you. This is a joint statement that is being issued by us. Mr. Samia and the town have mutually agreed to end Mr. Samia's employment with the town. The town would like to thank Mr. Samia for his years of dedicated service to the town. Mr. Samia would like to thank the boards, committees, department heads, staff, and most importantly, the citizens of East Bridgewater for supporting him over his tenure with the town of East Bridgewater.
And we're still waiting for implementation of this agreement, so the board at this time will have no further statement on that. The condition of the agreement will be published as soon as all parties have signed it, and councils for both sides have put their stamp of approval on it. Again, I'd just like to add, George has been here for over 30 years. He brought the town out of almost bankruptcy back in 2000, 2001. But it's time for the town to move on. We will be looking for an interim, and that could be as early as next week. We have an individual that we will all be talking to over the weekend. We'll be talking about a possible contract on that in an executive session on Monday evening, and hopefully we'll have that individual on board sometime in the very near future, maybe as early as next week. Any questions? We'll answer the best we can. The new interim will be the point for any questions that we have on the upcoming contract once he gets settled in here. And I'm sure if there are any questions that he has, he can be in contact with George, and George will bring him along on any questions that he may, have trouble finding. this is what we're going to attempt to, I know everyone is, very confused about the process. Hopefully this will clean up a lot of the questions and statements and so on that everyone has. But we will entertain any questions at this time. Go ahead.
Questions to Bill. You and I, within a month or two of each other getting involved in the town here, we're like the last 8 years now. How do you get to this point? Just interested, how do we get to this point? How do you think we got to the point where the town administrator is just out the door?
Well, again, until, as Dave said, until this agreement is finally executed, we're not going to really make any more statements beyond what was just read off.
Again, just using the words, this is a mutual agreement, okay, between the town administrator, Judge Samia, and the board.
You don't see it bigger than that? I do.
That's not something up for discussion, Tim.
Okay.
Anyone else? And we would like to continue, at least until we get to town meeting, weekly department head meetings. So any concerns that have occurred during the week, any questions, anything along that vein that we'll be able to discuss as all departments. Because what one department may be having a problem with could be affecting others. And one of the things I know in the last couple of weeks, we've had a major problem, okay, with our internet service based on a conversion that I believe occurred back in March 22nd. Ryan, could you give us an update on where we are on that?
So it's not our internet service, it's actually our email system. Basically what happened is, as part of a project, we had to bring down our servers, and for whatever reason, it didn't come back up right and corrupted some data. So we've been working with Hub, our vendor, on the project. We've had some scheduled downtime, so far without results. As of this morning, we have a scheduled downtime tomorrow to basically work to rectify some corrupted data, make some additional changes to our server. Our expected downtime tomorrow is about 12 hours. I've already reached out to Chief Allen on it. We discussed it this morning. I was going to discuss it again at another time during this meeting. If anyone has any issues or any concerns, please address them with me directly. I've been working with Hub now on this project for, speaking to them multiple times a day, and trying to, when we do have downtime, bringing it back up as soon as possible.
Anyone have any other questions?
Can I just say
Yes,
something?
absolutely.
I think I speak for the board when I say that we know that this has been a challenging time for all of you, that there hasn't been a lot of communication about this, because it is a contractual thing, and so there wasn't a lot we could say until, we came to this point. So we just want to thank all of you for your patience as we've gone through this, and for your dedication, and, we want to, promise you that we're going to move forward now and, have an interim in place as quickly as we can, and work hard to find somebody that can step into some shoes that are going to be difficult to fill, but we just think that this is when we need to focus on moving forward and how we're going to best be able to do that. So I just want to thank you on behalf of all of us, and say, that we appreciate that this has been a confusing and probably very challenging time, but hopefully moving forward, we can all work together and come out with a solution that's best for all of us. Thanks.
And as soon as we get an interim settled in here, we will start the process for bringing in a permanent town administrator, and that will be a process that takes as long as it takes to bring in the best qualified individual. I believe at this time, we will probably go through a consultant organization, that this is what they do. They do the work, they interview, and then they bring the finalists to the board. And at that time, the board will make a decision. But we will get that rolling as soon as we get the new interim settled in its place. Tim?
You might answer the question there, Dave. So is that the process for the interim?
Yes.
Is that the consulting firm you're talking about, or are you
No, that's for
talking the
the
extended?
permanent.
Okay.
That's for the permanent.
And at that point in time, would you guys consider looking at that position not as a town administrator position, but a town manager position?
That,
I think that would require
that
some more
hasn't been
changes.
discussed. I mean, it can be brought up. I'm not too sure how that process works. I know it has to go to town vote, town meeting, and everything else along the
Okay.
veins, but, you know, it's something I'm sure the consultant firm will, you know, when asked and approached, they'll give us whether or not they think it would be a fit for the town of East Bridgewater.
I see some of this with the consulting firm as an opportunity for us to sort of do some self-assessment of what kind of government do we want, how do we want to move forward, what are our goals as a town? And I think that, you know, by using a consultant firm, we can agree on some of those mutually established things so that when we do hire somebody, you know, that it's someone that fits in with our vision of how that all would work.
And so the interim, how are we evaluating that position?
The interim,
Yeah.
we have an individual that has been approached and recommended by town council, who has 30 years of town administrator, and it will be, again, on hopefully a very short interim basis, but they will be there as long as we have to make sure that we bring in the correct person, but it's not going to be a rushed process. It doesn't matter to me how long it takes. The future of East Bridgewater, of the town administrator, is something that we have to spend the time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Will you have a search committee, like made up of different departments when you?
We haven't discussed that yet.
Okay.
Most likely, it will be some type of a committee set up. As far as the makeup of that, no, we haven't discussed that portion yet. Anyone else? Okay, with that then, thank you again for being here. We will schedule a meeting for next Friday at 10 o'clock in this room, and hopefully, if things work the way they should, we will have an interim town administrator on hand at that point, so we can all do a meet and greet. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Be sure to vote tomorrow if you haven't already.
Yes, election day, vote tomorrow.